This morning I had a chat with Daniel, all the way from Germany. He's a really big Home Assistant fan, and today he tells me about some of the cool devices he's built using ESP Home. One of them is a slug detection system that uses AI detection to warn him when he's got slugs eating up his plants. Hi there, Daniel. Welcome to the Simon Says Home Assistant channel. So, whereabouts in Germany are you from?
Close to Munich, I would say.
And what first got you into Home Assistant?
My smart home journey started much farther before I actually recognized Home Assistant. But at some point, I was starting to implement my own smart home stuff, so my own app, my own cloud platform behind it, etc. And I realized this is a lot of work to get it all working. And then some bugs came up, and my wife got a little bit annoyed by the bugs, etc. And I realized it's a lot of work just getting the platform to work. But there was no time for me to really take care about actually cool use cases anymore. So I thought it would make sense to have to search for a platform that kind of takes care of the whole, providing an app and creating automations in an easy way, etc., so that I can focus more on the use cases actually. And that's when I started searching, and I heard from someone telling me about Home Assistant. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a try and look at it. And then I got just kind of pulled into it. And I think once you've installed it and you see how great it works and what benefits it brings, you will. I never thought about getting out of Home Assistant anymore. So yeah, I really started loving it.
Yeah, I agree with you. My path has been very similar. So are you sort of a software developer or an electronics engineer? What's your background?
Yeah, my background is in software engineering actually. So that's why I was also, starting with the software stuff and developing my own stuff. But yeah, so this is really helpful, of course, to have some basic knowledge about how everything works. Yeah.
Awesome. And before you came across Home Assistant, did you try any of the other platforms out?
Actually, not. I mean, I tried some cloud platforms. I started with IFT, kind of integrating that with my own kind of cloud platform that I developed for integrating with different services. It was easy because in IFT they had already some connectors, etc. But this Home Assistant was my first local platform that I tried out, and yeah, it's the perfect choice, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you totally. I'm just blown away with Paulus and his team and the way that they're building up with Nebuchadnezzar, and it's
Amazing.
it's just amazing. I mean, I started looking around for a system. I first of all I put a smart light into my house, and then I put an Amazon device, and then I was sort of like, oh, where do I go from here? And I started looking around, just came across Home Assistant. It was just blown away. And
Yeah.
what I liked about it was the simple way that you could just load it up on the Raspberry Pi and away you go, you know?
Exactly, and you can directly start, and from there it just you can do so many cool things about it and integrate everything, and that was what I really loved. And then also the auto discovery of devices, so it was just amazing. You started it up, and it was starting to recognize devices in your house, and you were like, wow, that's great. I mean, of course, for some devices or manufacturers, it's more difficult to get it into Home Assistant, but it gives you really a good start to have the basics already included, and then you can go ahead from there.
Exactly. So what sort of devices have you got connected to your Home Assistant at the moment?
So it's a lot of sensors actually, especially vibration sensors, door and window sensors, etc., motion sensors, cameras. That's I mean the major stuff. Then I also have some light sensors, some temperature sensors, etc., humidity sensors, and all that kind of stuff. And then, I mean, these are basically just standard sensors that you can buy everywhere. I usually use Zigbee for that because it's just really energy conserving. So these sensors work with the tiny little batteries, and they can work for a very long time, which is great. So that's why I use that. But then for the more kind of complex tasks, I basically have a lot of ESP Home devices actually in my house, where I develop kind of my own sensors, and also what I really love about ESP Home is that you can have things work directly on the ESP device, but then also connect it to Home Assistant and have automations in Home Assistant acting with that. And yeah, that's why I really love ESP Home, because it really allows you to build kind of anything. Yeah.
I know it's an incredible platform. You know, the fact that, like you're saying, you can buy an ESP dev board, you can load it up, and then literally you just go onto ESP Home and search for the sensor you're looking for, and literally you're up and running. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
I see you've built some really interesting things. I was looking at your page, and I see you've got a slug sensor. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's a slug detector. Actually, we have a raised bed outside in the garden where we have some plants, etc.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of slugs out there, which I really dislike. And I don't know how they get into this raised bed. It's not clear to me, because I never see one, walking up on the side of the raised bed, and also it's put at the wall, but I don't see them at the wall. So they must come from below or something like that. I don't know. But there are always these slugs, and it was really annoying because they were eating everything up. And my wife and I were really searching for ways to get rid of them, but we didn't want to kill them. So we were just walking outside every time in the summer and looking for slugs. And if we found some, we collected them and brought them somewhere farther away outside of the house. But of course, I mean, you never can always be outside, and so you miss them. And then at some point there is one again that you don't see, and then it starts eating your vegetables again. So I wanted to find a smarter way for detecting them and get notified that there are outside some slugs. And as I looked it up in the internet, and actually I realized there's not so much out there. Because I thought, and usually if you search for these use cases, someone thought about it already. But I only found one article. It was kind of more of it already went kind of into the scientific part, where someone was looking for how to identify them with infrared camera or whatever. But there was no final solution. So I thought, okay, I'll develop something. And yeah, for me, I decided to go for a camera-based solution in the first place, because I mean, I wanted to collect them during the day, not at night. In the summer, it's the day is long, so I thought it's okay. I don't need night vision for the beginning. And then I kind of started developing this thing, and I really trained a neural network for detecting slugs, which really works. And so it's a little Raspberry Pi Zero W that's running outside, and it has a camera, and it also has a motor that's turning it, so it can look at the raised bed in different angles all the time and scan it kind of. And then every time it stops, it takes a picture, then it goes further, it takes a picture, goes further. So that's how it works. And whenever it sees a slug in a picture, it sends us a push notification via Home Assistant. So we get it on our smartphones, on our smartwatches, etc. It does the trick, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty ingenious. So what sort of a system are you using to actually do this, the detection, the slug detection itself? What package do you use in the background?
So it's based on TensorFlow. And as I said, I mean, I trained a neural network. I used transfer learning So I used already pre-trained model, which is built for object detection. And then I just cut off some layers at the end of the net, and then retrained them to just identify slugs, and that works quite well. Yeah, and then it's running on a server. So this server is actually my Mac Mini, which is inside the house. So the Raspberry Pi sends the pictures to this server. The server does the recognition because it has just more power to calculate this than the Raspberry Pi, and then it sends the result back to the Raspberry Pi and says, okay, this is a slug or not, or the slug is in the picture or not. And then the Raspberry Pi, if the slug has been identified, it uploads the picture via FTP to Home Assistant, and then also triggers an event in Home Assistant, and then Home Assistant creates the notification, including the picture. So you get not only a notification, but also a notification including the picture of the slug.
Wow, that's incredible. I'll put a link in the description below to if anyone wants to go and look at your video around that slug detection, because that's pretty impressive. Another thing I see you've done is you've created a device. I'm assuming it's a similar thing using a camera to actually measure is that your gas meter, is it?
Yes. But yeah, exactly. It's not a gas meter; it's the water meter.
Oh, is it the water meter? Okay.
Yeah. So because I wanted to get the water measurements into the Home Assistant as well, also in the energy dashboard. But for that, I actually use an open source solution, which is available to anybody. It's really cool. It's called AI on the Edge. So you can just go there. It's on GitHub. You find it, and this is a really cool project of a maker who provided this to the community. So really, you should go there and star it because it's a really great project. So you only need an ESP32 cam, which has this little camera.
Yes, I've played with them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you print kind of a holder, which you put on your water meter with a 3D printer. And then on top, you just place this ESP32, and it even makes use of the LED of the ESP32 to, light up the picture because it also reads the water meter at night. So if it's dark, and if you have, for example, in my case, it's in the cellar, and in many cases it's just dark there, but it uses this light of the ESP32 to make sure it gets a really good picture of the water meter, and then it starts the recognition of the numbers. And the cool thing is, this project is built with TensorFlow Lite, which means it actually runs the recognition directly on the ESP32.
Oh, wow.
So it recognizes the numbers, and not only the digits, but also these little kind of clocks for the smaller numbers. They are also recognized, and it really gives you a very detailed number, and then it sends this information via MQTT to Home Assistant, and for that you can then in Home Assistant use this information to really see your water consumption, and it has a very good resolution, so it's taking measurements very often. So you can even identify, for example, if someone is taking a shower or something with this solution, because you see, oh, the water is really rising at the moment. Someone is really using a lot of water. So someone is in the shower or whatever, and use this for automations, which is really cool from my point of view. And of course, what's also cool is, from my point of view, you can use this also to identify whether you have a water leak, maybe. If you really lose a lot of water in a short period of time, then you can send out alarms to say you have to check if something is wrong. And I think this is really cool. Yeah.
Very, very cool. I'm just amazed at this community that's built up around developing open source solutions and then sharing them with everyone else. It's really, really amazing to be part of that community and just to be able to download that stuff and build it up and take advantage.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just something super special for me, I must
Yeah,
admit.
definitely.
So tell me something. What are some of the automations that you've got running in your home?
I have a lot of automations. So yeah, it's whenever I have an idea, I kind of directly start developing it. And that's what I also love about Home Assistant. You can even develop these automations on your mobile phone, or maybe at least start doing it on your mobile phone and then maybe go and continue on your desktop. That's really what I love. So whenever I have an idea, I directly hack it into an automation. I don't even write it down in many cases, but just directly create the automation, at least the step kind of, and then further continue later on. Yeah, I have a lot of standard automations, like things like reminders that you left the windows open. If you for 1 hour they are open, yeah, then you get a reminder, and we all get notifications. Our Alexa devices notify us that we should close the window. Also, when we leave the house, and Alarmo, I
Yes.
think I found this cool solution on your channel. I
Yeah.
really love it now. So if I activate it, and yeah, the windows are still open, or one window is still open, it directly sends a critical notification to all of us to say, hey, you're leaving the house, but windows are still open, or something like that. So these are the kind of more the standard automations. But then I also have some more specific automations, like the one with the slug detector, for example. I also have one that is also using a camera. It's also ESP32 cam, which I have in my garden shack kind of, and it monitors my garden, so all the lawn area. And so it's 2 different cameras in 2 angles. And then I use also an open solution which is called Dudes. This is an object detection system where you can also identify persons. And I use that to identify if there's a person on my lawn. And if there's a person on my lawn, and usually it's maybe the kids or something like that, or my wife, if I'm not home, then I send my robot mower back to his base station if the robot mower is mowing at the moment. So these are like more specific automations, I would say. Yeah, but I mean, I have a lot of them. So I think if I would tell you all of the automations, it would take a while.
So what do you use to create your automations? Are you doing those are you doing them in YAML code, or are you using Node-RED, or the Home Assistant graphical interface? Which one are you using?
I'm using the graphical interface of Home Assistant mainly because I really love it, and I think it's well done. It works very good. So the only thing when I use YAML is when you try to call services that are not standard or whatever, then you use the YAML code. But in many cases, everything works with the graphical interface, and I think that's really good. But I also hear a lot about Node-RED, and I haven't tried it yet. So I'm thinking about diving deeper into that topic. Maybe it gives you more possibilities, even more possibilities. But until now, I have never reached a point where I would say I got into a situation where I was kind of blocked because Home Assistant couldn't deliver what I was needing. It never happened. So from my point of view, the Home Assistant automation interface is really great.
It's quite amazing the way it's been developed over the period. I've probably using Home Assistant now for almost 3 years, and the
Yeah.
changes over that time are just fantastic. So I do like Node-RED because it's got a very graphical way of looking at things. It's similar to a product I used to work with years ago, which was a CRM system called Pivotal, and it sort of has nodes that you can then connect via lines, and you can actually see the paths of the flow. So I do like Node-RED, but certainly I would agree, the Home Assistant has come so far now that, as you say, if you've got a little bit of YAML on the side, you can literally do virtually anything, which is
Yes.
quite amazing. You were mentioning Amazon Alexa. Have you tried out the new local control voice assistant?
Yes, I have even also created a video about it,
Oh, cool.
and it's really great. I love it, and I'm further developing it. Actually, this is maybe a kind of sneak peek at the moment because it's a
Mhm.
new project I'm currently working on. I have never posted anything about it, but I can show you. I'm currently developing my own PCB
Oh,
for
wow.
this
Yeah.
to get it to kind of build a custom voice assistant kind of device for my home. This is something I'm working on, and I think this is really great because I think it has a lot of potential also for the future to further develop this. So that's why I'm really putting a lot of effort into this at the moment because I think it's great. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'll be really interested to follow along and see how you're going with that. I've tried to order one of those S3 boxes, but unfortunately everything is sold out at the moment.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting whenever Home Assistant talks about one or other device, literally within hours or days, they're totally sold out. So yeah, I'll be fascinated to see how you get along with developing. So you actually get those boards sort of manufactured somewhere, and then or do you manufacture the boards as well?
No. I get it manufactured. I was just designing it. Yeah, but
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. So you've got quite a sort of a electronics background as well, have you, Daniel?
a little bit. Yeah, I'm not an expert. That's
Mm.
why I'm also kind of struggling still a little bit. Yeah, it's not working perfectly, but it's a lot of fun diving into this topic as well. Yeah.
And then I'll see your 3D printer in the background there. So you're obviously building your own casings and everything for all your devices as well.
Yes, that's the idea, to build really a custom device that looks like I want it, that is really having all the features that I want. For example, I want this kind of ring, which you have also on the Alexa devices. I
Hmm.
want it as well because I want it to really be like an Amazon Alexa. That's also maybe because, for the family acceptance factor, we
Yeah.
have the Alexa at the moment, and it is used a lot. So I want to have a device that works pretty much the same or even better. Yeah. So
I agree.
yeah.
I think it can get much better in time, but the fact of being able to disconnect it from the bigger internet cloud, I think, will be way better
Yeah,
because it's
this is
not
amazing.
great knowing that people are listening into everything you're saying. So I
Yeah.
think that there's huge legs involved, and obviously, I think it's become a huge project. Obviously, the guys have spent a year developing it, and I think there's some really good opportunities coming there. So,
Yes.
so talking about platforms earlier, you said you've been using the Zigbee platform. What radio do you use for that? What sort
Um,
of
you-
stick for the
yeah, I
Zigbee?
use the Sonoff stick
Oh, the
at the
Sonoff.
moment.
Yep, same as
Yes.
me. Yep. No, I'm really impressed with the Sonoff. It seems to work really, really well. You need to get the antenna positioned in a good place, but other than that, seems to work. I've had a few issues with some of the Aquara sensors falling off sometimes, but other
Yes.
than that, it's. Have you got a solution for that?
Not yet. I have the same problem, but
Yeah.
only with certain Akara sensors, not with all. Like the window
Oh.
sensors are working super reliably, for example,
Mhm.
but the vibration sensors, for example, use a loose contact sometimes. But yeah, I also have installed some of these kind of repeaters, so like
Mm.
they are like devices that you just plug into a normal plug, and it has like it says it has 100-meter range extension. I don't know if it's true, but it works well. Since I have it, it's much more reliable. So yeah.
Cool. What are you using vibration centers for?
Um, for example, I have one on my coffee maker
Oh.
to identify when it's running, and then based upon that, I decrement a counter of the capsules because we have this kind of capsules
Oh.
machine. So I decrement the counter, and when they are gone, then or shortly before, I put them on the shopping list automatically.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
I use it for that. But I started actually with a smart plug that
mm.
is measuring the energy of the coffee maker. But I realized that when you turn on the coffee maker, it also heats up for a little bit, and then it already counts as if there would be one coffee made, but it was not a coffee made, it's just warming up. And I didn't find a solution for that. And that's why I decided to go for a vibration sensor. But I also use it, for example, for my mailbox. So to identify when, mail was dropped. So because it has a lid. So if you open the lid and then you put something in and you close it again, then the lid vibrates, and that's a signal for me to say, okay, there's mail. Yeah.
Oh wow, those are two usage that I've never thought of. I've heard a lot of people doing it for the washing machine, but I really like this too. I'm going to do the coffee because my machine's exactly like that, except
Yeah.
it's got a grinder, so it will also vibrate when the grinder's running, and then it can decrement based on however
Yeah.
many coffees you get out of a bag of beans. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So other than Zigbee, do you use any other protocols to communicate with your devices?
I mean, Zigbee is the one kind of proprietary protocol, but then I use, of course, a lot of kind of just Wi-Fi devices. I also have some, proprietary radio signals like 433 megahertz or 866. It's, for example, the shutters, etc. They just came with that, and I didn't want to kind of just buy a new motor or something for that. But it already has kind of a radio interface, so I just try to kind of reverse engineer the signal that's being sent out by my little controller that's controlling the shutters, and that works. So now I can just control them myself. So these are like just devices that were pre-installed in my house, and yeah, I just made them smart kind of. It works well. But then I also have LAN connections when it's possible, because I mean that's from my point of view the most reliable. So whenever I can, I use LAN, of course, because then it makes sure that you really have a connection. But yeah, there are some situations, for example, when you just don't have a LAN connection or LAN outlet close by, or you don't want to have a cable, whatever, then it's, of course, then Wi-Fi is more suitable, or even Zigbee for the battery powered devices, etc. But that's pretty much it. So it's LAN, it's Zigbee, it's Wi-Fi, it's proprietary radio, and then I already have one Matter device, but yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I've been playing around with a few Matter devices. I've been playing with this one from Sonos. So it's
Yeah.
quite cool. It's a 3-gang light switch.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, that one connected up first try, no problem at all. Have you tried anything with Thread or just Matter over Wi-Fi?
Matter over Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But what I realized, I tried a smart plug, for example, with Matter. And what I realized is that, at least at the moment, it does not give you all the functionality. So, for example, this smart plug that I tried has also the energy measurements, but it was not possible to get the energy measurements over Matter. So over Matter, I was just able to turn it on and off, and get the status, but no energy measurements. So for that, I had to use the normal connection again via the cloud of the manufacturer, because at the moment, at least, it's not possible to get the energy measurements via Matter, and that's a little bit dissatisfying, right?
Yeah, I found the same thing with the new 2-year integration that Home Assistance launched. Also, it was able to provide switching on and off, but no measurements. So, yeah, I think it seems to have been developing a lot more slowly than what I was hoping. But yeah, I think there's a lot of hope for it in the future.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
yeah, I definitely look forward. So what are some of the things that you're hoping to develop in the future? Obviously, you've got your little homemade Amazon Alexa type device. What other cool things? It sounds like you've got so many cool ideas. What else are you thinking of, or would you love to do?
Oh yeah, there's there's a lot of things, but it's I have also some limitations, because family acceptance factor. It's only allowed to do something if it does not change kind of the appearance or whatever. So at the moment, for example, in parallel to this local smart assistant or speaker, I'm also working on my doorbell. There was just one recent video about this where I'm trying to get really my classic video doorbell that is analog, or yeah, with analog video, etc., to get it smart, but keeping the existing housing, the existing wiring, so that nothing changes from a kind of optical perspective, etc., and from a usability perspective, it works like before, but it's smart. So that's what I'm doing, and yeah, that's whatever I have ideas. I have to make sure that it kind of works like before and has just some additional functionality. So yeah, but yeah, I have a lot of ideas, but I always have to think about how to kind of make it work so that it is allowed.
Of course. Have you thought of doing person detection to like actually analyze who the guest is that's bringing your doorbell?
Um, I mean, that would be interesting, yeah, as a next step, and I think it could also work, yeah. As soon as you have a good camera, it should work. Yeah, it could be a good an interesting feature for like a further step in the future. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Awesome, Daniel. No, look, I really appreciate your time this morning. It's been really good getting to know you. And I look forward to seeing some of those projects that you've got lined up for the future, especially that DIY voice assistant. I think that's a great project.
Yeah, thank you so much for also your time, and it was great speaking to you. And I'm also looking forward to your next videos. Maybe can I ask you also the question, what's in your pipeline for the future?
Yeah, so no, for sure. Feel free. So I'm always fiddling around and trying to think of the next thing. I suppose for me, one of the things that I'm really keen to do is first of all get the voice assistant running because I haven't. I've used the Alexas and things, but I haven't got the Home Assistant one running as yet. So that's one of my main projects at the moment because I'm really excited to see how that develops. I was following the competition that they ran recently where people had to submit the different one of the ones that I thought was really cool was the one of the guys actually had a virtual person on the voice assistant. I don't know if you saw that video, but that was super cool. So it actually, as you spoke to it, you could actually see the person speaking.
Yeah, I
So
saw that. That's really cool. Yeah, this
that
kind
was
of
quite a
avatar, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's the word I was thinking of. So that looks really cool. The other thing I'm really excited about is the interaction of how AI is going to start playing into home automation. There's one YouTuber, I don't know if you've seen him, he's from Britain. He's doing some amazing stuff with integrating Chat GPT into Home Assistant. It's quite incredible. I'll send you the link to his channel.
that's great. Yeah, it would be really interesting. And for
Yeah, he's
you, if you have problems, ordering these devices for the local home assistant, look at my video, because there you can just use a normal ESP board, and you have to just get a microphone and a speaker for it. But then you can also use just a standard ESP board, and you don't have these restrictions of devices being sold out. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually ordered one of those USB microphone speakers and I
Yeah.
tried plugging that into my Raspberry Pi. For some reason, I couldn't get it to work. I uploaded all the stuff and I've played with it, but for some reason, I can't get it to work. So I think the idea of doing a standalone ESP, I'll just need to order the speaker and the microphone board just to link it in. But I think that's a really good idea. But I do like your idea of having the ring of LEDs and the whole thing in a package. So 3D printing is not something that I've got into yet. So I agree with you. It's a very cool idea. Another thing that I would really like to do, you were talking earlier about wired devices because there's certainly a huge amount of value in wired devices. And I think one of my next steps is to try some PoE wired stuff. I recently moved into a new home, so it's an old home built in 1969. So it's got no modern tech, but I'm busy. Luckily, you can get under the floor and into the ceiling space easily. so you can actually get around and install wiring everywhere that you need. So I actually quite like the idea of getting into wired devices. The challenge is that there's not that many wired devices around in the DIY space. I think once you move to the professional home automation space, there's a lot of wired stuff available, but then you're talking big money. So it would be actually quite interesting to do some research and see what you can find that is wired, because obviously with Wi-Fi or with Zigbee or whatever you're using, they always are going to go off from time to time.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the real frustrations. Since I've started my channel, I've had a lot of people actually approaching me wanting to sort of start a business using Home Assistant as something that they can sell on as a product. And I think one of the challenges trying to get it to a stable environment where you can do that sort of things. And I know a lot of people are already building systems with it. But yeah, so I'm really interested in seeing how I can get my system to be really stable and have devices that are um, some of them wired at least, so that I know those ones, for example, are not going to fall over. But yeah, other than that, I'm just always looking for new. I'm constantly scouring the blueprints page, the hacks page to see what news coming along, and then I'm also always watching other people's videos to see what new device is going to be launched. I'm going to try and get to CES in 2025, or is it 6? I think, not sure, one of the two, because to me that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think they've got just basically everything there, so it'd be quite amazing just to have an opportunity to just to get around and meet everyone. I really enjoy meeting people in this community as well. I've been starting to interview different people. I met a YouTuber out of the States recently. We did a live stream together. I met the guys at Apollo on a interview. And for me, this engagement with people across the world is just amazing. How Home
Yeah.
Assistant is bringing us all together
That's
and
awesome.
and sharing ideas. I mean, I've learned so much from you today. It's just really cool, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I love it as well, and thank you so much for having the time to just have this nice talk. Very nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. You have a great. It's evening for you there now, isn't it?
Yes, it's evening. Yeah.
Morning for me.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, and
Thank
enjoy your
you. Bye
Easter.
bye.
Cheers, Daniel.